Hello and welcome to turn 1 of Downfall of the Third Reich. I've just completed the German turn and I will just tell you what I did. Before I do that, let me run you by the rule exceptions that apply in 1940. This is a file I got probably off of Board Game Geek, but it's pretty handy, easy to forget rules, and in this particular case also rules by year. So in 1940 you can see that the Allied armies, and that I believe, the Allies are a separate side, so that does not pertain to the USSR, but France and the UK cannot move on turn 1, so the winter turn, unless Germany attacks Belgium or France, which they didn't do. The reason they didn't do that is because on winter turns, and that's not a specific 1940 rule, you cannot use air missions, so you cannot use air support unless the attack is taking place in the Mediterranean theater, so in Africa. And I do suppose they could use that extra help, so that is why I didn't do that. And of course the Allied turn is still to come, but anyway, important to remember that the French units nor the English units, that they cannot move. The Allies cannot use the development action throughout 1940. Again, the Allies, not the Russians. In spring, Belgium automatically enters the war on the side of the Allies, and the turn that the Axis attacks Belgium and or France, tactical movements and or attacks cost 2 supply points instead of 1 for the Allies. So those are important things to keep in mind. So what did the Germans do? Well, they didn't attack, but they first performed a tanks action, armor production actually it's called. So that brought them up to 3, but later on they spent it on reinforcements. But before actually doing those reinforcements, they performed some movements so as to make space for those reinforcements. I could have done those reinforcements before. Again, this game is very fluid. You can basically take an action whenever you want, even after combat. So this is what I did. This unit moved from here into Denmark so that it will be able to invade Norway on the next turn. This unit moved out of one of these 2 areas, I think it was this one, so as to make space for an armor unit, which it didn't actually do. Well, it moved out of one of these 2 areas, and this one performed a strategic movement from one of these areas to bolster the defenses in the east, and possibly to be in place later on for an attack against the Soviet Union. So as you can see, it's very important to the order in which you do things, because there's a stacking limit of 3 armies per side per area. So if I had left those units in, I would not have been able to place this tank here. That's also where the armor production points went. This is a new unit, so it cost me 2 reinforcement points and 2 armor steps, and this one cost me 1 armor step, and I still upgraded this infantry afterwards as well, after moving. What the Germans also did is they placed these missions. They did not buy new ones, so on the next turn they won't be able to do it. I could have bought, well, the thing is, there's only 4 in total, I believe, so I would never be able to, I wouldn't be able to buy 2, just 1, but certainly worthwhile. Maybe I should have done that, but there's always more things you want to do than that you can actually do. And finally, the third action the Germans took that they're entitled to during limited war is the supply action, and I guess by this time they were down to 2 or something. No, 0? I don't think they were down to 0. Well, let me have another look at that, because I think they only spent 3 supply points, and you're supposed to get 5 when you take a supply action. So I think I accidentally added 3 instead of 5, so I should be at 7 now. So that's what the Germans did, and and I just put a couple of reminders here. This one for the Allied special rules that I just explained at the beginning of this video, and this is for winter 1942, and it will still take a long time before we get there, but then there are some combat restrictions or penalties rather, in the Soviet Union for the Axis forces. So thank you for watching, and see you after the Allied turn.